In my first video, I announced that Mayor Schaaf, Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf, had stated she's running for mayor of Oakland again, and I gave a list of her objectives for the city. And then I closed with a criticism that Mayor Schaaf doesn't understand economic development, and I pointed to some examples, and I continue. And I said that with respect to sports organizations, she and other members of the Oakland City Council, I might add, tend to view sports organizations as personalities and not as businesses that employ people. In the case of the Raiders, it's Mark Davis, as opposed to the organization. And in the case of the A's, it's the same way, and of course the Warriors. But there's no recognition of their value to the point where she would fight to keep them here. And I'm not saying spend taxpayer dollars. Anyone who says I'm advocating for spending taxpayer dollars in that context is, I'll just say straight out, wrong. If they continue to push the idea after I've said I'm wrong, then they're a complete idiot. No, that's not what I'm talking about at all. In fact, the simple idea that there's only one way to finance a sports facility in terms of public dollars underscores the overall problem with how Oakland approaches economic development. In the case of a standard business, we look for different tools to keep the business here. We don't talk about the CEO of Kaiser so much as Kaiser. We don't talk about the CEO of Dreyer's Ice Cream so much as Dreyer's. We don't talk about the CEO of United Airlines so much as United Airlines, which you lost to San Francisco. I can go on and on and on. It's always about the business, what it does, who is employed, and its importance to Oakland, except in the case of sports. The irony is that sports facilities present our best opportunity to develop the kind of infrastructure that allows us to get conventions and draw tourists and increase the dollar flow in our community. But instead, Mayor Schaaf allows the Warriors to chase away and leave $60 million that they owe us on the table. And in the case of the Raiders, gave an effort that didn't cause her to use the best talents, not only in Oakland, but the San Francisco Bay Area. Folks, we have the best sport marketing and sport finance talent in the entire country, if not the entire world, in the Bay Area. What Mayor Schaaf could have done, and I told her to do in 2014 of December, is form a task force. But she didn't want certain people leading the task force because some of those people had issues with Governor Brown of 15 years ago. Libby, you do not handle problems that way. And I'm leaving out the names deliberately. But I'm saying it enough to get your attention. That was wrong. It's not the way you build a city. It's not the way you bring a city together. One person who used to be involved in Oakland at a very high level, in fact, as a city administrator and city manager before that, said, all hands on deck. In other words, regardless of how you might personally feel about someone, you recognize their talents, you bring them in, you give them an official role. Okay? With respect to economic development, Libby has not done that. The economic development people have been in the background. And if you type Oakland Economic Development in Google and you find the page, the first language you're going to see, or among the first messages you're going to see, is that Oakland doesn't have an economic development program because redevelopment function was terminated. Folks, that was in 2011. This is 2017. Yeah, it's that old. It has not been changed at all. And when I first made mention of this, instead of actually correcting the problem, what the city did was they took the page that was strictly about economic development, gave it a new URL so they'll rank higher than the other page that was sending you the message I was telling you about, and left it at that. However, the page that ranks higher also tells you nothing about the economic development function of Oakland. It tells you that Oakland's open for business, it gives you some demographic information, but it doesn't tell you what you really need to know, which is how we are going to help you and the tools we have right there on the front page and who to call. or email or find on Twitter. That's not there at all. At all. And the reason it isn't there is because since redevelopment was terminated, we have been lost at sea, trying to figure out how to do economic development. But here is the secret. Governor Brown signed into law 2 pieces of legislation that for all practical purposes brought back redevelopment. In late 2014, he signed into law the Enhanced Industrial District Program, which allows the use of tax increment financing within the zone, a key tool used in California redevelopment in the past. And then in 2015, Governor Brown signed into law legislation allowing something called, for want of the longer version of it, basically a community development authority. That's right, a local area economic development authority. Folks, Oakland has not done a thing to develop a new program around either of these plans. And if Libby or any other people say that's not true, my direct retort is this. First of all, in the affordable housing plan that Mayor Schaaf rolled out last year, they mentioned tax increment financing, but there was no real plan. It was just all these ideas in the air. That was it. When I talked to the president of the Athletics, he told me that in all of his conversations, the use of tax increment financing, let alone the 2 pieces of legislation I meant to you, never came up. And here is the magic of being able to use them. Let's say that the Athletics were to build at Howard Terminal. Assuming a 40-year bond issue, they could float a bond through the city with its new redevelopment powers, based on the property tax revenue there using tax increment financing, generate $370 million, use $85 million of that for affordable housing, as per law, engineer a pass-through to the school district, and then engineer another pass-through for police, specific to that area, which would be excellent to have as that area develops, the population of Jack London Square increases, which will happen. In other words, we have it within our ability with this tool to do what we used to do. Mold and sculpt an Oakland economy that was right for everyone, not just a few. Instead, we're building an Oakland economy that's right for a few and hurts the many. And Libby has done nothing about it. Nothing. The mayor has demonstrated a desire to put herself out in front of issues with economic development in sports, but without the knowledge. And as a mayor, you don't need to do that. A good mayor understands that she has deputies that can do the work for her, and she lets the deputies, for example, present before the NFL owners. Libby has called me her godbrother for some time. I am the person in the city, outside of the Raiders themselves, that has the most experience working with the National Football League. In fact, I've been commissioned to cover the NFL draft for the 12th straight year in a row. I designed my own media company, and I've engineered all of this on my own. I have made a game around the business of the Oakland Athletics that was played in 40 classrooms in classrooms in the United States and in London, I might add. Do sports business simulations until we stopped doing that in 2010. But as a person who knows a number of the owners by first name, you would think the mayor would say, Zinni, I want you to lead this task force. And I want you to lead, and I want you to gather together a business group, much as you did when you tried to bring the Super Bowl here and almost won when no one gave you a chance. Libby did not do that. And so when NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell asked me this question, why are you so good with this? I told him straight out, I said, because I wasn't involved. I was left on the sidelines. And for important events, I wasn't able to really seriously guide the effort. My input was parenthetical. Oakland Raider owner Mark Davis came to me and asked me to produce a plan. In fact, my longtime friend Mike Silver, now of NFL Network, was there when he did it, and Mike confirmed this with a tweet saying, I was there a moment of zinning. And I did produce a plan. Not only did I produce a plan via spreadsheet, a detailed one, but Piper Jaffray Investment Bankers, led by none other than their managing director, who was responsible for the privately financed deal for the St. Louis Cardinals baseball team in St. Louis, Diane Pauley, blessed the spreadsheet, said that my numbers were solid, good, and just wanted a bond amortization schedule, which I did present for them. I gave all of this to Mayor Schaaf in 2015. No one from her office, let alone her, convened a meeting with her people and me in it to go over the plan with a fine-tooth comb. Only 2 people did. Oakland Councilmember, at-large Councilmember Rebecca Kaplan, with Oakland, Alameda County Joint Powers Authority head Scott McKibben. We went through the plan at Boca Nova, and they said I had considered had basically dotted every I and crossed every T. Okay. Oakland could have had an investment banking firm. Remember all the problems we were having, first with Egbert Perry, and then there was the issue with Fortress, and whether or not the NFL wanted to deal with Fortress. And all the while, I had gotten, the year before, Piper Jaffray. And the plan that I had come up with called for a 2-wing hotel complex of 1,000 rooms. In the Bay Area, from the San Francisco perspective, according to HVC Consulting, we have a shortage of hotel rooms by 16,000. 16,000. And in my third video, I'll continue explaining this. Stay tuned to the third version of my video. I'm not done with this.